that having spoken with a very senior person who was originally associated with the top leadership of the IRA, I am satisfied for a whole host of reasons that that period in our lives is confined to history, and I am confident we won't ever see a so-called IRA armed struggle, a campaign of violence in our islands. I don't think we'll ever see it again. At the time of the Good Friday negotiations, when he stepped forward and took a chance and signed the deal, and history changed as a result of that. And he was on the right side of history ultimately.
Now, the Stormont Assembly did get going, but pretty soon in 2002, it hit a very complicated event called Stormontgate, which led to actually being suspended for some 5 years. What was Stormontgate, Eamonn?
Well, allegedly, the Republicans had some device which was overhearing certain things, as I understand it, and that caused uproar. But Adam, I want to say one thing. I want to share something with you which is new and very original, I think. In the course of my research for my autobiography and my memoir, I've dedicated some time to try and establish, is it possible that I would reach a conclusion that we will at no time, as long as I live and in my children's offspring's era, see a return to the horrendous violence which we witnessed in our generation. And I'm glad to report that having spoken with a very senior person who was originally associated with the top leadership of the IRA, I am satisfied for a whole host of reasons that that period in our lives is confined to history, and I am confident we won't ever see a so-called IRA armed struggle, a campaign of violence in our islands. I don't think we'll ever see it again. And that's the good news. That's the reveal coming from my book. And I document all the reasons why it's over, gone, buried. And the manifestation, I suppose, of real change is exactly what happened yesterday when Michelle O'Neill, as the leader of the biggest political party, Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, became First Minister. And 3 weeks before St Andrews, Ian Paisley told me at breakfast, he invited me for breakfast, and he told me, I want everybody working together in Northern Ireland before I expire. I had never heard words like these falling from his lips. And I said to him, do you mean involving Sinn Féin? Yes, he said. They have the vote. That's democracy. We have to deal with reality. It was an extraordinary moment. And he stood by that. And eventually he went into government with Sinn Féin, and he and Martin McGuinness, it became known as the Chuckle Brothers. And ultimately he was literally buried, firstly by his own church, the church he founded, and ultimately by his own party, because of his extraordinary friendship with Sinn Féin's vice president, Martin McGuinness, who declared behind closed doors in the Savile inquiry that he was number 2 in the IRA when Bloody Sunday happened in that city. So he didn't hide the fact that he was in the IRA. And here he was now, laughing and yo-hoing with Ian Paisley everywhere they went. But Ian Paisley was killed off ultimately because of that friendship. But they set the tone, they set the example of what could happen in Northern Ireland, what in reality was changing in Northern Ireland.
Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness now no longer with us. Ian Paisley died in 2014. Now, he was replaced by Arlene Foster. And again, we can hear her. She had to resign ultimately because there was another scandal, the renewable heat incentive scandal, which led to the suspension and the Sinn Féin walkout this time round from the Assembly.
I am determined that the public will get the facts in an independent and impartial way, free from party political demands and bias. I want to see an investigation commenced quickly so that it will independently demonstrate that I did nothing wrong and that my integrity is vindicated.
I mean, Eamonn, it has to be said, these suspensions, because one party or the other wouldn't work with the other, they often seem to us, looking in from the outside, as kind of excuses, really, for the two sides not getting on.
Well, yes, there was a lack of trust at so many levels. For example, Peter Robertson had agreed with Mark McGuinness about developing the Maze site, where it would be a common area for sport and all that type of thing. And then in a letter from America, Peter Robertson wrote to his party and said he wasn't going to follow through on that. And of course, that's caused a great upheaval. And the scandal over the RHI scheme, which was known as the Cash for Ash scheme, that caused uproar. So if it wasn't one thing, it was another thing which caused friction. And then ultimately, we had the collapse again. But now we're back in harness. The joy, the excitement of yesterday, the restoration, it was palpable, Adam. It was a palpable sense of relief and joy up there yesterday. And I would be fairly hopeful that we're back on track with the shadow of violence gone, as I say, forever.